Hey guys, welcome to the Clubhouse. I'm Billy Jackson, and today's video is going to be on great fantasy movies to watch while on this lockdown. Now let's get the obvious out of the way. Lord of the Rings is definitely the greatest fantasy adventure maybe ever written, ever put to film. We all love these movies, and I'm not a big fan of the Hobbit films, but the first trilogy is probably one of the greatest trilogies ever conceived. I love these movies and I watch them every year, as should everyone. And during this time, when we have a lot more time to sit back and watch stuff, I think Lord of the Rings is a great trilogy. I would suggest watching the special editions. They're about almost 3.5 hours long each, and there's three of them. And it equals about 11 hours, 11 and a half hours, something like that. I can't remember, but it's plenty of movies to fill in some time for you guys in a great fantasy adventure, probably the greatest ever. So I definitely suggest Lord of the Rings. Next up, we have one of my personal favorite dragon movies, Reign of Fire. If you have not seen this, seek it out. This movie is awesome. It's a quick watch. It's only an hour and a half. And it's about these drillers in London. They open up this void by accident and come to find out that there are dragons asleep down there, and they awaken them. And they come out and they destroy the entire earth. And man tries to destroy them with nuclear weapons. And they end up just making it a post-apocalyptic world with only a few scattered survivors around the world. And there's hundreds of dragons everywhere on Earth just killing everything. And the best dragon work that I've ever seen. And if you haven't seen Matthew McConaughey, when I came out of the theater after watching this movie, I didn't realize that was Matthew McConaughey because he's so big and buff. And my buddy was like, yeah, that's Matthew McConaughey. And I went, this Matthew McConaughey?
Alright, alright.
Oh, Christ.
How you doing?
And he's like, yeah, that Matthew McConaughey. So it blew me away. And this movie is awesome, a fun adventure. So I say definitely give it a watch. And for my next pick, we have The Dark Crystal. Jim Henson's best work ever. And a great fantasy film. One of my favorites ever made. And this is something you can watch with your kids. Granted, not younger kids, because it is kind of a darker, scarier story than the norm. But exciting adventure. And there's some terrifying moments in this. I remember as a kid being literally terrified by the Gartham. There's these big beetle-like creatures. And when they brought back this story and made the prequel series, The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, I was so excited, and that show is incredible. And I definitely suggest, you try to fill in some time during the quarantine. Watch Age of Resistance, then watch The Dark Crystal. Or actually, the series is actually made where you can watch The Dark Crystal and then watch Age of Resistance. And the Age of Resistance is a prequel to The Dark Crystal, but it explains a lot about what happened before the events of Dark Crystal in a very great way. But this movie is incredible. It's something you all can enjoy. And I had to throw it in here because it's definitely one of my favorite fantasy adventures of all time. And another great pick I have for you guys is another one of my personal favorites. And that is Time Bandits. This movie is awesome. Another one that you can watch with the kids. Granted, not younger kids. Definitely a funny adventure. It's about this kid who gets overrun in his bedroom one night by a group of little people who are running from God because they stole a map that shows them where these time holes are so they can go and rob all of these different time periods and become filthy rich. And they grab up this kid who comes along for the adventure. And I'm telling you, this movie is fun from beginning to end. An original story, all-star cast. You've got John Cleese, Sean Connery, Shelley Duvall, Ian Holm, and the great David Warner as the devil. And I'm telling you, I can't express enough how much of a fun adventure this is for the entire family. Definitely give it a watch. One of my all-time favorite fantasy films. So if you know if I'm going to love it, you're going to love it. For my next pick, we have my favorite fantasy movie of all time, and that is Conan the Barbarian. And actually, you could throw in Conan the Destroyer too in here. This movie inspired me when I was young. I mean, me and my buddy Eric, I mean, Conan is the codes. The codes that Conan lives by are the codes that we lived by as a kid. Granted, we didn't grow up in, you know, medieval times and were barbarians, but we wanted to be. Still to this day, me and my buddy will quote Conan. I mean, where else can you get the riddle of steel? And I'm going to give it to you right here.
Steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. What is steel compared to the hand that wields it?
I mean, come on. How awesome is that? Live by those words. And you know when I say throw in Conan the Destroyer, it's because he has one of my favorite lines of all time in all of cinema, which is this.
Give us the girl or we'll take her.
Enough talk.
Bam! That's what I'm talking about. I mean, stop talking and get to fighting. Love these movies. They're definitely fun to watch. Not for the kiddies, I'd say, but something that you could watch for yourself. Go back and enjoy Arnold Schwarzenegger at his best. And you've also got, you know, James Earl Jones, who plays the major villain. And, you know, it's just a classic story. You know, evil person comes and kills parents, takes kid away, makes him a slave. He grows up for 20 years, becoming the biggest and buffest and baddest warrior on the planet, who then seeks out and seeks revenge for his family. And he gets it. And the way he gets it is awesome. So go back and revisit these films. They're a lot of fun. And just throw popcorn in your face and enjoy this adventure, because these are my favorite movies. Favorite fantasy movies. So there you have it, guys. Those are my picks. At least 5 of my picks of 4 fantasy movies that you can watch during this quarantine. But guys, I want to know what you're watching. What are your favorite fantasy films? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like my videos and subscribe to my channel. And as always, make yourself happy every day. And the only way to do that is to remember, the only thing stopping you is you stopping. Bam!